We are broadcasting live from the Cardiac Intensive Care Unit at Children's Hospital of Wisconsin. My name is Corey. I work on the social media team. And today is Giving Tuesday. And on this very special day, we have a very special broadcast prepared for you. Today I'm joined by Christine Railing, who will describe the life-saving journey her twin daughters took through our Herma Heart Center and how both of her daughters, at just 1 year of age, underwent heart transplant surgeries that saved their lives. And I'm also joined by Meg Brisky-Nelson. She leads a team here at Children's Hospital of Wisconsin focused on fundraising and raising awareness of our organization as a charity and a cause that needs your support to ensure stories like this are even possible. Now, today is Giving Tuesday. And Meg, I was wondering if you could help us understand, what does Giving Tuesday mean?
Sure. Giving Tuesday is a global movement where we acknowledge the frenetic nature of Black Friday and Cyber Monday and instead focus on the holidays and what it means to be a part of a human community. And so it's how we encourage people to give back to their community, both of their resources and their time.
Great. And since it is Giving Tuesday, we're asking our viewers to be generous. We're asking our viewers to think about how Children's Hospital of Wisconsin might have impacted their lives or the lives of their friends and family, and to think about the role of our organization in the communities where they live. I mean, we're right here in Milwaukee, right in the backyard of so many of the people who are watching this broadcast. And so we've set up a page on our website at chw.org/Tuesday. And Meg, we have a very special offer going today, is that correct?
We do. Every dollar counts, and we really encourage people to be a part of what we're doing here at Children's because they really make the difference. We also have a little added incentive. We have the opportunity for people to win tickets to the Minnesota Green Bay game on Christmas Eve.
So on Christmas Eve in Green Bay,
You got it.
Green Bay versus Minnesota, and we have 2 tickets. So if you go to chw.org/Tuesday today and make a donation to support our hospital, you'll be entered in for a chance to win those football tickets. So we'd really encourage you to do that today. And just a minute, we're going to talk to Christine and hear her story. But first, I want to ask you to participate in today's conversation. So if you have questions for Christine or if you have questions for Meg as we go through our live broadcast, please post your questions in the comment section of this video, and we will try to answer as many as we can throughout our live broadcast. And for everybody who's watching right now, please click the like button or click the share button and let us know you're watching. We really appreciate your feedback. So let's begin our story, Christine. To begin with, can you describe your family and how many kids you have?
Sure. We have 3 kids, our twin daughters, Chloe and Kendall, who are almost 2, and our 3-year-old son, Max.
Okay. And 1 year ago, you had a healthy, normal family, right?
Yeah.
And when your kids were born, did any of them have any health conditions at all?
No, all 3 of them were born with healthy, clean bills of health.
Okay. So we're going to talk today about the story of Chloe and Kendall and their journey through our Herma Heart Center. And maybe we could go back in time and talk about the first sign of something happening with one of your daughters.
Yep. It was February 27th of this year, and Chloe suffered a stroke. We noticed that she wasn't moving the right side of her body from her face all the way down to her legs. So we took her to the emergency room here at Children's Hospital because clearly something was seriously wrong. They immediately admitted her, gave her an MRI, and found out that she had a stroke due to a blood clot.
So you were at home,
Yes.
is that right? And now a stroke is an extremely serious thing to happen to a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
And what were you feeling at that time?
A lot of anxiety, a lot of, I didn't know this could happen to a baby.
Right.
What does this mean? Will she be able to function? Because at that point, we only knew that she wasn't able to move her body.
So you come in through our emergency room, and our doctors start to look at her, and they start to look at her heart. And ultimately, what did they find?
When she was admitted, we found out that she had her stroke due to a blood clot. They found the blood clot, and it was in her right hip. So as part of the diagnostic process, they did an echo of her heart to understand where the hole was in her heart that the clot traveled through to the left side of her brain. On that echocardiogram, they found out that she suffered from restrictive cardiomyopathy, which is a very rare and severe heart disease.
So Chloe was diagnosed with restrictive cardiomyopathy. And it sounds like an extremely severe condition to have. And as a family, you and your husband are hearing this for the first time. What were you feeling?
A lot of I don't know what this is. What
Yeah.
does this mean?
Right.
How rare is this? Oh my gosh, she's a twin. What about Kendall, her
Yeah.
sister? A lot of those questions came through our brain.
Yeah. So after you got the diagnosis, how long did it take before you guys understood what comes next? Like what potential treatment paths were available for her?
Yeah. As far as the next steps were concerned, it was pretty immediate that the doctors knew that the only treatment for her heart condition was heart transplant. So within a day.
So within a day of coming into our emergency room,
Yeah.
and within a day of having that stroke, you realize that one of your daughters needs a heart transplant.
Yeah.
Were there staff or doctors on our team that gave you that diagnosis? Do you remember who they were?
Yeah, it was Dr. Susan Forrester
Mm-hmm.
was one of their cardiologists. Dr. Kendall obviously was one of their cardiologists and still is their cardiologist.
Yeah.
He follows them and he's the heart transplant director here.
And what did our staff tell you to do to prepare for this journey? Because at this point in time, you know that one of your daughters is going to need a new heart. I can't imagine a more complicated and potentially sophisticated surgery, right, that you need to do on a young girl. What kind of advice did they give for you, and what did they tell you that would be like?
Well, the heart transplant, or I guess organ transplant process is pretty sophisticated, at least in my experience.
Yeah.
You don't just meet with a doctor, you meet with a social worker, you meet with pharmacy, you meet with palliative care, you meet with a whole slew of doctors, surgeons, to get a rounded perspective on what needs to happen and what each specific specialty is about. Each one of those folks gives you a little slice and sliver and insight into what life is going to be like for you while you're waiting for an organ, but then also post-transplant as well. A lot of the advice that they gave us was, the Hermer Heart Center, this is what they do.
Yeah.
They handle the most severe cases, so they know how to do this, and they know how to do it well.
How did your home and work life change?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Both my husband's and my employers at the time were extremely supportive of our family situation. They allowed us the time to be with our family. We had immense support from our immediate family and extended family as well to come be with the girls when we weren't able to.
Because you were here almost 24/7 at times.
Yeah. So one of us was always here. Generally, it was my husband during the week, and then I took the weekend shifts, and one of us was at home with the other two kiddos. So that was generally our life for 6 months.
And so Chloe's twin sister, Kendall, how is she feeling at this time?
Oh, I don't know. She's only one. But she, from medically, they diagnosed her with the same heart condition a couple days after Chloe was diagnosed. And fortunately, I guess, she wasn't as advanced with her heart disease, so she wasn't admitted to the hospital right away. She was medicated and able to stay home.
I would imagine because they're twin sisters, the heart condition that Chloe had, it was assumed that Kendall would be at risk for the same thing. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a risk for sure. We didn't know there was a chance that they could be separate if they were fraternal twins. It turns out that they are identical twins and have the same heart disease.
So your family at this point in time has a daughter in our cardiac intensive care unit that's on the waiting list for a new heart, and her twin sister has been diagnosed with the exact same heart condition, and I'm assuming they also told you that Kendall might need a new heart as well.
Yeah, there is no cure for restrictive cardiomyopathy. The only Band-Aid is a new heart, and so there was no other option. Heart transplant was the only option for the girls. It was just a matter of time. The goal for any heart failure is to get as much time out of the current organ as possible.
Okay.
So it was just a matter of time, though, before Kendall's heart failure advanced to the point that she would need a new heart.
So Chloe's condition was at the point where she needed a heart as soon as we could get one for her. She was put on the waiting list. How long did she have to wait? And what was that waiting like for you?
Chloe was placed on the transplant list in March. She received her new heart on May 11th and confirmed that it was in and pumping and accepted on May 12th. That wait is unimaginable because every day you see your child become sicker and sicker. And fortunately, we didn't get to the most severe stages of heart failure that other kiddos do, and we're very blessed for that. But every day you see negative progress, so it was just heart-wrenching to see.
And so while your daughter was waiting for that heart, she was in a room just like this. Right now we're in the cardiac intensive care unit in one of our rooms. How much time did your family spend here at our hospital as Chloe was waiting for her heart?
24 hours a day, as much as we could. Like I said, one of us slept here every night. The only time we would leave is to go to work and come back.
How was our staff able to make this comfortable for you? I imagine it just completely flips your life upside down, right?
Well, the staff, the nurses, the doctors, even the cleaning crews that clean your room have become like family. We still are in contact with a lot of them. I saw a lot of them.
You were like a celebrity when we walked in here today.
I saw a lot of them working today when we walked in, which was great to see. It's nice to see them in an outpatient capacity, but it also gives you something and someone else to look forward to. Seeing it, it's kind of your second family.
What about your son? Did he tap into some of our child life sibling care opportunities?
No, unfortunately, Max didn't. But I really wanted him to. Unfortunately, we just weren't able to make it work. But the options that they have for kiddos to be looked after while patients are being treated with certain, echoes or et cetera, whatever treatment it is just awesome. The toys that we walk by all the time, he wants to go in and play with them. So
was he able to verbalize how he was feeling as his sisters were here?
He would, whenever we would drive by the hospital and he would see the two kids, the big blue logo, he would always say, Mama kids, and Chloe Hospital, Kendall Hospital, and I don't necessarily know if he knows what it means, but he knew that they were here for sure, and we have our fair share of children's hospital gear, and so when we wear it around the house, he looks at the kids, and he's really helpful with giving them their medicines and making sure that they take their medicines on time and come to their appointments. So,
Good. And again, I would like to remind everybody who's watching right now to show your support for Christine by clicking the like button and clicking the share button just to let us know you're watching. We would really appreciate your feedback. So we're at the point in the story now where Chloe's been waiting for a heart for a couple months, right?
A couple months.
And at some point in time, do you get a phone call, or how do you know when a new heart is available?
Yeah, you get a phone call, and if they can't reach you, they give you a pager as a backup. But it was, I actually just thought about this last night. It was May 10th when we got our phone call. It was Nurse Liz, one of the NPs in the transplant program, who called my phone, but I forgot to turn off the Do Not Disturb. It was 10 p.m. at night, and so I missed the phone call. My husband was out of town at the time. I guess that's fortunate in this capacity because she was able to reach him. And so when he called, his phone call came through. It was about 10:16 or so at night, and
you remember the precise minute.
I do. And he called and said, "Hey, did you talk to Liz?" And I said, "No. What's going on?" And he said they found a heart for Chloe, and I just broke down and started hysterically crying.
So what happens next? How quickly does this occur then?
It can take, it can be very rapid within a matter of hours, or it can be a fairly longer process. It really just depends on the donor end, on what's going on for that, and logistics on arranging surgical teams. For Chloe's case in particular, we got the call at 10 p.m. May 10th, and she didn't go in for surgery until about 6 p.m. on May 11th, the next day.
So the next day, and over the course of time you're waiting for that heart, you're imagining, right, a heart surgery on your daughter, which, you know, every surgery is risky, right? There are no small surgeries. How did you mentally prepare for that dramatic event?
I in my head, it was going to be successful.
Yeah.
I didn't think of any other outcome. I have, unfortunately, other family members that have undergone major heart surgery, so I think that may have been a little bit of a help in understanding what that process looks like. But ultimately, you're saying goodbye to your child, which could potentially be for the last time, but you're hoping.
Yeah. And do you remember which surgeon?
Yeah, Dr. Woods was both girls' surgeon.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Mitchell was the procurement surgeon for both the good girls.
And so while she's in the operating room getting a new heart, where are you and your husband?
We actually slept in her room, in her new room. As part of a transplant process, kiddos are put in isolation afterwards in order to keep germs out as much as possible. So whether right or wrong, we were able to stay in her new room. So.
And then, do you remember how long the surgery took?
Oh goodness, she went in at 6. I think the organ arrived around 9:30 or so, and then just after midnight, maybe 12:15, they came back and said that she's accepted the heart and has been doing good so far.
That must have been the best news you could ever hear, right?
Yeah, it was extremely relieving, and then it was just letting her body warm up, her body acclimate to the new heart, her lungs. As part of her heart disease, fluid backs up into your lungs, and so the pressure needs to be relieved. So letting her reacclimate, and then I think she got back to her room probably around 6 a.m. or so.
Wow.
5 a.m.
What are your thoughts for the donor families?
Oh, again, I was just thinking about this last night. It's hard, especially at this time of year, because they're celebrating what's supposed to be a very happy time of year without a major part of their life. And I understanding that my husband and I could have come so close to having that happen to us, there's nothing but gratitude and appreciation, and there's really no amount of words that can explain how thankful you are for that decision that the family made. You don't know the circumstances that the donor decision was made. I don't necessarily think I want to know, and I don't think I would ask either, but just to know that their family and their decision helped save at least one child, it could be more, is a phenomenal thing.
Yeah, so just outreach of gratitude on that. Yeah.
And the generosity of that family and that decision is changing so many lives.
Yeah, it's organ and tissue donation, blood donation, marrow, anything has an impact on the folks that come through these walls. And it's something that you don't think about until you have to think about it. So I know my husband and I encourage folks to think about it now and talk about it with their families, talk about it with their partners, because you don't know what's going to happen, especially around the holidays. It sounds unfortunate, but unfortunately, organ donors take up during the holidays because people are traveling and accidents happen. So it's something that I think everybody needs to think about.
And just 1 year ago, your family was healthy, happy. You never thought you'd be in this position.
Ever.
And here you are.
Yeah.
It's amazing. For everybody watching right now, we'd like to remind you again that today is Giving Tuesday, and we're asking you to be generous as well. So we have a page on our website at chw.org/Tuesday, and you can show your support for Children's Hospital of Wisconsin. And as a reminder, all day today, if you make a donation on our website through that URL, you'll be entered in for a chance to win 2 tickets to the Green Bay, Minnesota game on Christmas Eve in Green Bay. So it's a great way for you to get involved and show your support. So I'd like to ask you at this point in time, how is Kendall doing? Because she also has heart failure, right? And she also has a condition that would potentially need a heart. Is she on the transplant waiting list yet, or is that coming up?
After Chloe, received her heart, Kendall started to deteriorate with her condition, or her condition started to advance a little bit more, to the point that the doctors felt it was necessary to admit her to the hospital, put her on stronger IV drugs, and list her for transplant.
So really soon after the joy of Chloe getting a new heart, your mind now is transitioning to doing that whole experience over again with Kendall. So how was that journey for her? How was the waiting for her?
Kendall's journey was actually a little bit more smooth, if that's an appropriate word to use.
Right.
Chloe's heart disease was very advanced, that her heart transplant in general was a difficult surgery.
Yeah.
She came off of out of surgery on ECMO, and which means that a machine is doing the pumping for her and circulation of the blood for her, on a ventilator for a lot longer than is typical. She had trouble baselining her numbers, and so there was a lot of variation with her stats and needing to mediate through drugs. Kendall, on the other hand, was more textbook with respect to transplant is concerned. So she came in, she was on drugs to help her heart pump because it wasn't pumping correctly, diuretics to help pull off fluid from her lungs. And from a transplant perspective, Chloe was discharged 6 weeks after transplant, which is on the long end. Kendall was ready to go after 12 days.
Wow.
Does that mimic their personalities too?
A little bit. Chloe is a little bit more challenging. Sometimes. She's just very strong-willed.
So take me to the day that you got the call for Kendall's heart. Where were you and what were you feeling then?
I was actually at work, and I was talking to a coworker out in the hallway, and one of my other coworkers walked by and said, "Hey, your phone is ringing." I said, "Oh, it's fine. It's okay. I'll get it in a second." And I got back to my office, and it was Dr. Kendall. It was about 4:30 in the afternoon, and he left a message saying that they found a heart for Kendall. It was July 1st.
And so where's Chloe? Is Chloe still here, or is she at home at this point in time?
Chloe was still at the hospital.
Okay.
Yep, they were both in the hospital for probably a month together.
Okay. And how did Kendall's surgery go?
Like I said, hers was pretty textbook.
Yeah.
She came off on ECMO too, which is standard.
Right.
But she was able to come off of that machine after 2-3 days. She was sitting up and eating Cheerios, I don't know, like 24 hours or 48 hours after that. She was just hungry, which again is her personality.
Yeah.
Were they allowed to interact?
Yeah.
And what is it like for twins being separated with them?
Yeah, I think the separation part while Chloe was in the hospital and Kendall was away didn't seem to faze them too much. But when they came into the hospital and they were next to each other, you could tell that they wanted to be together, at least in my opinion. Probably because Kendall wanted Chloe's Cheerios, but that's another story. So.
And when they're 16, they'll want each other's curling irons,
exactly,
right?
Yes, I know.
So, I mean, as identical twin sisters, they were already going to share so much of their life together, right? And now they have this other extremely special bond that they can relate to each other through. Is that right?
Yeah.
I mean, as a mom, are you beginning to look ahead at their lives and wonder, what comes next for them?
Yeah, I think my husband and I hope for nothing but a normal life, and all signs are pointing towards that. It's the things that through adolescence that really worry us. So the fact that they are different because they've got scars, or because they have to take medicine, and how is that going to impact their journey? And in talking with the doctors, you see a lot of kids that have transplants that are rejecting because they don't take their medicine, and because they get peer pressured into being different. And so those are the types of concerns that at least cross my mind. I know that they'll be okay from a longevity perspective. The Herman Heart Center and Dr. Kendall and his team, all the NPs, look after the girls on a regular basis. They see them probably once every 2 weeks or so.
So the care that's being provided to your family through our Herman Heart Center is continuing and will continue.
Yeah, for the rest of their lives.
Well, and there's a whole school intervention program, too, that deals with exactly what you're talking about. How do they integrate back in the classroom when they get there, and how do they have as much of a normal life as their peers in school?
When they become school age, we'll meet with folks from the hospital here that specialize in education and developing that integrated educational plan, or IEP, to understand how their needs or how their learning development has progressed, and what additional help they'll need. Maybe some appreciation for the students in their class and the kiddos in the rest of their school on what heart disease is. Heart disease is the number one reason why kiddos come here. I mean, it's 1 in 100 babies are diagnosed with some sort of CHD or congenital heart defect, and there's not a lot of awareness around that. So helping anything that we can do to build that awareness and education of other parents and students is important. And the Herman Heart Center has those programs to integrate that.
It's amazing. So both girls are at home now, right, with their new hearts. How was there a homecoming? Was there a celebration when they came home?
Well, I'm sure everybody wanted to be there. With any organ transplant, you're on a lot of immune suppression drugs. So for the first 3 months, it's very important that they stay away from any sort of new germs and stay a little bit isolated. But I mean, we hung a sign out in the front yard that said "Welcome home, Chloe," and then "Welcome home, Kendall," and took pictures and FaceTimed with everybody so they could see. But
and I think there are so many people who live in Milwaukee or who live in Wisconsin that don't really know what we do here at Children's Hospital of Wisconsin. And when I hear your story, I'm reminded that just down this hall, there are so many families that are going through maybe not exactly the same journey as you, but very similar in many respects. And when you look back at the last, not even a year really, at what the Herman Heart Center has done for your family, how would you describe the impact that this organization has had on your family?
It's hard to describe that until you've walked in the shoes of a patient or a family that's come through these doors. To describe this hospital is magical, and I've said that many times before. Miracles happen here every day, especially on this unit. It's the faith that every practitioner has, the viewpoint that what's best for the patient, what's best for the family comes first. That they're going to do everything in their power to get you home, because that's their goal, is to get you home quicker. That they accept you as part of your family. I mean, it's a place that you don't mind coming, and that's probably a good thing to have as part of a hospital, especially for kids who get poked and prodded and tests done, and if they don't mind to come, then that's awesome. That's a win right there.
Yeah. So Meg, when I hear this story, it reminds me of just how important we are to this community and to so many families across Wisconsin. How important is the support of our community and the work we do here?
Yeah, you're making me a little teary-eyed because this work really is vocational for everyone that's within the hospital walls, and that serves our families everywhere, and even teammates who do social media and do philanthropy work. It is vocation for people here, and Children's was founded by our community over 100 years ago, and it takes our community to keep it the asset that it is, so that we can make miracles continue to happen. So it takes you to help us with that, and so that we can protect the future too, so that we can advance research, so that the girls know what their future's about when they're 25, and we have new advances for them. So that's happening on a minute-by-minute basis here. And so it really is about community support.
A lot of people don't know that our girls will come back, or any heart transplant kiddo will come back multiple times in their first year for a heart catheterization, which is a very invasive procedure that takes biopsies from their heart to check for rejection, tissue rejection. One of the amazing research opportunities that children is undergoing with the Mitchells right now is understanding how correlation from blood pulls and blood draws correlates to rejection. So kids don't have to necessarily go through as many heart catheterizations, and they're having very good success from what I've understood with that. And if that can be proven and be a success, that's going to change the face of heart transplant globally, and it's here in Milwaukee, and it's here at the Herman Heart Center.
And I think a lot of people don't recognize that we're just not a normal children's hospital. We are a very special place. We're ranked very highly across the nation for the care we provide, and especially in our Herman Heart Center. And that's why it's so important that we get the support of our community to do the work we do and to support families like Christine and Chloe and Kendall. And so we're asking you again to take a moment today on Giving Tuesday to be generous and to go to chw.org/Tuesday and consider making a gift. And Meg, is there any gift that's too small?
No, never. Nor too big.
Nor too big.
Dan and Christine Railing are so selfless. They're still in the midst of this journey with their girls, and yet they're speaking up and getting connected to other people and advocating on children's behalf. And we're so thankful to have you a part of the family. So no gift is too small. It all goes to advance the care that's happening here on a daily basis and what we're doing for research in the future.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, and there's one last thing you can do. Again, click the share button right now in this video so your friends and family on Facebook can see this video. And again, please visit chw.org/Tuesday today and make a donation so you can support the work we do. Christine, Meg, thank you so much for this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Corey.
Thanks, guys.
Happy holidays.